Just 4 days before what should have been a milestone celebration of love and endurance, Akon's wife dropped a bombshell, filing for divorce after nearly 29 years of marriage. The timing alone has left fans stunned. Imagine preparing to mark almost 3 decades together, only for the story to flip into heartbreak at the very last moment. But with Akon, things are never as simple as they seem. This isn't just a celebrity divorce headline. It's a story wrapped in layers of cultural clashes, polygamy debates, and years of whispers surrounding the singer's unconventional lifestyle. Akon has never shied away from admitting that he believes in polygamy, even confirming that he has multiple wives and 9 children across different households. But for Tameka, the woman who has stood by him for nearly 3 decades, was this finally too much to carry? The filing cites irreconcilable differences. But fans are asking, is that the whole truth? Or is there something deeper, something Akon has kept hidden all along? In a world where Hollywood marriages often crumble within a few years, sometimes even months, Akon and Tameka's bond stood out as a rare example of endurance. Nearly 3 decades together is no small feat, especially under the blinding spotlight of fame. To many, their marriage looked like an unshakable partnership, one that had weathered the chaos of stardom, music tours, and endless media scrutiny. But behind that public image of stability, whispers of turbulence were never far away. Tameka Thiam, unlike many celebrity spouses, kept herself largely out of the spotlight. She wasn't chasing headlines or building a personal brand on social media. Instead, she seemed to hold the role of a steady anchor in Akon's whirlwind life, quietly present, while he expanded his empire and navigated global fame. But being low profile didn't mean life was simple. Reports have long hinted that Tameka's patience was tested by Akon's unconventional views on love, marriage, and family, and then came the cruelest twist of fate. Instead of celebrating a 29th wedding anniversary, she was filing paperwork to officially end it all. The timing feels less like a coincidence and more like symbolism, as if Tameka had carried the weight of their marriage right to the brink of that milestone, only to decide she couldn't go another day further. It's a dramatic reminder that what looks unshakable from the outside can be quietly crumbling within. But if the marriage itself had lasted this long, what finally pushed Tameka to draw the line? If there's one thing Akon has never tried to hide, it's his belief in polygamy. To him, having multiple wives isn't scandalous, it's cultural. In a 2022 interview on the Z's Mills show, the singer made his stance crystal clear, saying, "Polygamy is part of our culture. Absolutely. For me, it looks normal because it's a culture for us. We didn't go outside of our African culture when we got to the Western world." For Akon, the idea of limiting love and marriage to just one partner didn't make sense. He framed polygamy as something natural, almost practical, and certainly not shameful. But while his words resonated with many who share those cultural values, they sparked fiery debate in the West, where monogamy is the dominant and often expected standard. Critics called his views outdated, unfair to women, and impossible to maintain without emotional chaos. Supporters, however, praised him for refusing to conform, applauding his boldness and staying true to his roots. The controversy didn't stop there. Akon went further, criticizing Western society for creating what he saw as unnatural rules that ignore human nature. That kind of statement was bound to ruffle feathers, especially among fans who viewed relationships through a very different lens. The backlash was swift, with social media buzzing about whether Akon was championing culture or simply justifying infidelity. And yet Akon didn't back down. He doubled down on his role as a provider, claiming his job was to make sure every household under his care had stability. But for Tameka, sharing her husband with other women may have been a sacrifice that eventually grew unbearable. After all, how long can someone endure being one of many? When Akon opened up about his family life, it wasn't just surprising, it was jaw-dropping. The singer has openly admitted to having 9 children, spread across multiple households in Atlanta, Los Angeles, and even Africa. Reports claim that Akon has as many as 4 wives, with musician Amira being one of them. And unlike the secrecy that often surrounds celebrity infidelity rumors, this wasn't hidden, it was part of his lifestyle, one he described as perfectly normal. In 2023, Amira gave an interview where she laid bare just how unconventional their arrangement really is. She revealed that the wives live separately, with different households and different lifestyles. They don't see each other often, and according to her, they don't need to. "We don't have to see each other, so we don't have to be cool with each other," she said. She painted Akon as a man who set the rules clearly. Either you accept his way of life, or you walk away. To her, it wasn't manipulation, it was culture. But while Amira might have accepted this arrangement, speculation has always swirled about how it affected Tameka, the wife who had been by his side for nearly 3 decades. Did she silently endure the reality of sharing her husband with other women, hoping the stability of family life outweighed the pain? Or did the growing weight of this arrangement finally become unbearable, pushing her to seek freedom just before a milestone anniversary? For outsiders, it's easy to wonder, how can any marriage survive when love is divided across so many households? Akon may have believed he was honoring tradition, but the emotional toll on one woman, especially Tomika, may have been far greater than the public ever realized. When the news broke on September 11th, the headlines felt like a gut punch. After nearly 29 years of marriage, Tomika Thiam officially filed for divorce from Akon. The court documents, obtained by People, cited the familiar phrase irreconcilable differences. But behind that legal wording, fans were left wondering what really went wrong. The filing revealed some telling details. Tomika requested joint legal custody of their 17-year-old daughter, Journey, but she asked for physical custody to remain with her, allowing Akon visitation rights. On top of that, she requested spousal support while asking the court to deny Akon any financial support from her. Every line of that paperwork seemed carefully calculated, painting a picture of a mother prioritizing her daughter's stability while also protecting herself after decades in the shadow of Akon's empire. But one detail sparked even more speculation. The date of separation was listed as TBD. For a marriage that had stretched nearly 3 decades, why would that crucial detail be left undefined? Was Tomika signaling that their relationship had been unraveling for years, with no clear breaking point? Or was she deliberately leaving the timeline vague, perhaps to shield herself, or even Akon, from further scrutiny? And then, of course, there was the timing. Filing just 4 days before their wedding anniversary seemed almost symbolic, as if Tomika had carried the weight of the marriage up until the very edge of that milestone, only to decide she couldn't cross it. To some, it felt like a final act of reclaiming her narrative, turning what should have been a celebration into a statement. The legal process may have only just begun, but this filing has already rewritten the story of Akon and Tomika's marriage forever. And if the paperwork revealed anything, it's that this divorce could expose more secrets than anyone expects. The moment the divorce news hit the internet, social media lit up like wildfire. Within hours, Akon's name was trending worldwide, with fans and critics alike dissecting every detail of the filing. Some users expressed shock that Tomika had endured nearly 3 decades in such a complicated marriage, while others argued that the split was inevitable, given Akon's outspoken support of polygamy. The fan debates quickly divided into 2 camps. On one side were those who defended Akon, calling the divorce a cultural misunderstanding. They pointed out that polygamy has deep roots in many African traditions, insisting that Western critics simply don't get it. On the other side were voices condemning the situation as unfair to women, accusing Akon of hiding behind culture to justify a lifestyle that left his wives emotionally sidelined. As with most celebrity scandals, the memes rolled in. Screenshots of Akon's past interviews were spliced with sarcastic captions, while hashtags like #SmackThatDivorce and Akon Unplugged began to trend. Fans even compared the split to other high-profile celebrity divorces, putting Akon's name in the same conversation as Kim Kardashian, Kanye West, and even Jeff Bezos. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Here was a man with global music success, millions in the bank, and a reputation as a cultural icon, yet his personal life was unraveling in front of the world. For many fans, it felt like a reminder that no amount of fame or fortune can shield someone from the chaos of heartbreak. And if the online frenzy is any indication, this divorce is only the beginning of a much bigger public spectacle. If Akon's views on marriage stirred controversy, his opinions on parenting poured gasoline on the fire. In interviews, he's admitted that he doesn't see his role as being about birthday parties, school recitals, or family holidays. Instead, he described his responsibility as purely financial, providing shelter, food, and stability for his 9 children across multiple households. "My job isn't to be doing all that extra stuff," he once said. "If I have the time to do that and show love, yes, I will. But my main job is to make sure the family has a roof over their head and food." The reaction to those words was polarizing. Some people defended him, saying he was just being realistic about what it takes to provide for such a large family spread across different cities and continents. Others, however, slammed his philosophy as cold and detached, accusing him of treating fatherhood like a business transaction instead of a relationship. This perspective makes Tomika's divorce filing even more striking. By requesting physical custody of their daughter Journey, Tomika might be signaling that she believes Akon's provider-only parenting isn't enough. Fans online have already speculated that this difference in parenting values could have been a major source of tension in their marriage, and while Akon insists that daily communication through FaceTime keeps him connected to his kids, critics aren't convinced. They argue that money and phone calls can't replace presence, love, and emotional support. Could this very philosophy, this belief that provision outweighs participation, have been one of the final straws that led Tomika to walk away? At the heart of Akon's divorce story lies a debate much larger than 2 people parting ways. It's the clash between cultural tradition and Hollywood expectations. For Akon, polygamy has always been framed as natural, even necessary. He has repeatedly defended his lifestyle by pointing back to his African roots, arguing that Western society's insistence on monogamy is artificial and out of sync with human nature. To him, having multiple wives wasn't scandalous. It was simply the continuation of what he saw as cultural truth. But that explanation didn't sit well with many critics, especially in the Western world. To them, Akon's lifestyle wasn't cultural preservation. It was outdated and unfair to women. They argued that polygamy in his context gave men all the power while leaving women to quietly endure emotional neglect. Social media debates often painted Akon as a man hiding behind tradition to justify choices that would be condemned if done by anyone outside of his celebrity bubble. This divide isn't new. Fans and tabloids have speculated for years whether Tomika truly accepted Akon's worldview or simply tolerated it for the sake of family unity. Living in the United States meant constantly facing Western cultural expectations of loyalty, equality, and emotional intimacy that clashed with the polygamous lifestyle Akon embraced. And that brings us to the question many are now asking: was this divorce inevitable from the very beginning? Could a nearly 30-year marriage survive when the husband and wife were living under two very different systems of belief? For some, Tomika's decision to file feels less like a sudden betrayal and more like the unavoidable breaking point of a cultural divide that had been simmering for years.